Joining me now is GB News presenter Darren Grimes. Darren, the support for Hamas and what happened in Israel has been quite distressing to see. Has shocked many. We've seen pro-Palestine groups gather around the world and hold banners like this at a football game in the UK. Tell me about the British reaction to Hamas's barbaric attacks against Israel.
Do you know what, Rita? I think it can be separated into two separate groups, which is one, you've got the Labour Party types with their Free Palestine banners and holding at stalls at Labour Party conference. The British Labour Party have their party conference right now. There's LGBT Labour right next to a Palestine stall. I mean, the irony isn't lost on me, Rita, and I doubt it's lost on you either. But then there's also the other group, which is, I think, a more sinister group. And it's a group where Britain has been an open house for those who despise our values, Rita, right? We've invited people here in our cities, bursting with people who are celebrating terrorist exploits, where the liberal left applaud them like demented seals. And then you've got the likes of our Home Secretary. And I know you've covered this. I know you've spoken about this. Our Home Secretary said that multiculturalism in Britain hadn't been a massive success. It had been a failure. I mean, understatement of the century. Because what we've seen here is we've ushered in a parade of those who remind us that this grand experiment that we were placed on with multiculturalism, with diversity is our strength, that we hear ad nauseum. We're living in a fractured society and not a truly united kingdom, right? Where this mantra of diversity being king, it's a farce. And I think the recent events on our city streets are the proof in the pudding on that one. And don't get me started on Celtic Football Club, because I think the fans ought to be massively ashamed of themselves. They've been called out by former players who've said that they're brainwashed, and I couldn't agree. It's neck deep, Rita, in tribalism, in nasty, hard left politics. And there's a whole host of things going on here. But I'm really worried about Britain's future if these kinds of people are the ones who are calling this, because the police response has been abysmal, Rita.
Well, yeah, because some of the rhetoric and language from the Poor Palestine sign has been just terrible. I want to play you a little bit from Manchester Friends of Palestine president. Let's listen to her.
They are full with pride. This is the first time that something like this happens in modern day history. For 16 years, Gaza has been under blockade, and for the first time, they are actively resisting. They are not on the defense, and this is truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and we are both in fear, but also in fear of how Israel will retaliate and how we've seen it retaliate overnight, and the missiles that it's launched and the attacks. But also, we are full of pride. We're really, really full of joy of what has happened.
Darren, I'm at a loss to know what is joyous and prideful about what we are seeing happen in Israel. We're talking about women and children being murdered, women being raped and tortured, entire families being taken hostage, hundreds of unarmed civilians killed. Joyous? I mean, these people could not stoop so low to speak like that. And then we've got this woman calling for celebrations in the wake of the attacks.
Yesterday was a victory. As a Palestinian, yesterday was a victory for freedom fighters in Gaza to break out of a 15-year blockade so successfully under the inhumane genocide from Israel was so beautiful and inspiring to see. It shows us as Palestinians, and it shows the world as us from Palestinians, that we will always fight and we will always resist, and we need to celebrate these acts of resistance, because this is a success. Revolutionary violence initiated by Palestinians is not terrorism. It is self-defense, and it is encouraging the liberation of Palestinian people who have been under illegal occupation for 75 years. I'm gonna leave you with this. This is not a
I'm at a loss with words. I mean, you look at the vision we've seen out of Israel, the savagery, the cruelty, children, women, unarmed civilians, brutally murdered, and we're hearing that talk, that it's just resistance. It's justified. And just in recent hours, we've seen those scenes in London outside the Israeli embassy. Again, to be doing this outside the embassy to me is just shocking, Darren. What's your reaction to how the Jewish community must be feeling hearing these speeches and seeing those scenes in the centre of London?
I hope they feel as angry as I do, and I hope that they've started to voice their concerns, Rita, because someone, for that display that you've just seen in London outside of the embassy, for example, someone had to get permission to close that entire street down, to set up a microphone, right, and PA speakers and all the rest of it. So how on earth, how the flying flamingo has this been allowed to happen, right, outside of the Israeli embassy, just 2 days after a terrorist attack in which hundreds, if not thousands, we don't know the final total yet, have died, have lost their lives. A rally to show solidarity with terrorists, with people that are banned under British law. Hamas is a terrorist organisation. It's a proscribed organisation. You know, Britain, Rita, is a nation in which referring to someone by their biological sex is viewed as a hate crime, right? But celebrating the kidnap, rape and murder of Jewish people, that isn't a hate crime worthy of the police getting involved. So, you know, if any British Jews need any help, Rita, I say that they just tell the police they've been misgendered and then the police will be over in a jiffy. That is the bizarre and sick scenario that we in Britain find ourselves in today. So, you know, my heart goes out to the British Jewish community and the international Jewish community, because those scenes where women are being flaunted like ghastly trophies, where, you know, you've got elderly Holocaust survivors being herded into Gaza as hostages, or all of the displays of rockets with the Iron Dome Israeli defense system trying to actually keep the Israeli people from being bombarded to death. That, to me, pulls on my heartstrings. And I don't know why anywhere, but especially not this country, this sceptred isle of mine that I am so proud to be from, should be a playground for the what I would call toxic whims of Hamas and Iranian cheerleaders. But that's where we are, Rita. I would love nothing more than to see these people actually removed from the streets, because I'm all for free speech, but I am not for the glorification and incitement of terrorism. Because we in Britain, right, are we a country that says you fancy a side of terrorism with your scones whilst you're here visiting Britain? Do we cheer on terrorism? Do our bobbies act so scared that they cower from mobs like that? No, we shouldn't be. We mustn't be. And I'm livid, Rita. Honestly, I'm just so angry that this is going on in my country.
Darren, Mayor Sadiq Khan has condemned the attack, saying Hamas is a proscribed organisation. What they have done in the last 24 hours in Israel, causing the death and injury of hundreds, is unacceptable, and it's got to be condemned, and I do condemn that. We've also got to recognise the history of disturbances in the Middle East. Well, there you go, Darren. He called it unacceptable. But will London landmarks be lit up in the colours of the Israeli flag, as landmarks around the world have been, including here in Australia? What is London planning to do to show solidarity with the people of Israel?
So far, Rita, the only monuments that have been lit up are those in the gift of the Conservative Party. So Parliament, for example, was lit up in the colours of the Israeli flag. You had number 10 Downing Street lit up by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. But Sadiq Khan hasn't done anything as far as I can see. I haven't seen any monuments that have been lit up so far. Maybe that'll change. But I actually think, you know, Sadiq Khan, he likes a bit of race baiting, Rita. He's been partial to it once or twice throughout his career. And I wouldn't be surprised if he sees a key constituency of his, the kinds of people that we see out in the streets of London celebrating the monstrous attack that took place over this weekend. So I don't count him as a true ally of Israel, so I won't be expecting anything anytime soon. I would just ask viewers, Rita, to just ask themselves why it is that it's unique to Israel, because any other country in which this happened, I imagine London would be one of the first to light itself up in colours in solidarity in which this kind of atrocity had taken place. You know, on 9/11, the world didn't come out in a fiesta for Al-Qaeda's deadly shenanigans that went on there. You know, ISIS in Paris, we didn't see anyone on the streets for then. 7/7 in London, we didn't see a street party going on then. Yet Hamas against Israel, you know, they do what they did. They terrorize the Israeli civilians. And in this country, we do not see politicians, especially those on the left, turning this country into one that says we stand with them. Instead, we pander to those who do not wish our country well, who do not wish Israel well. We are playing, I think, the role of a patsy to these people. And I think that's a real mistake. We have, as I say, rolled out the red carpet for those who loathe us. We've endured threats from those who detest us, and actually we're starting to coddle the ones who undermine us. And people like Sadiq Khan, politicians like Sadiq Khan, they are useful idiots for these people. That's what worries me so greatly.
Darren Grimes, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Rita.